Hey there, and thanks for joining us on GamePoints, our weekly get-together where we talk about the last week in gaming news. I am, as always, your host, Stephen Brown. Joining me today are Sean Brown and David Smith. Say hey, guys.
Hello.
Yo.
I almost said Sean Smith because I actually know a guy named Sean Smith. So
We look related.
that's the confusion there. Today, before
Twice.
actually I really get into the news, I want to go ahead and throw out a quick public service announcement. The plot to Metal Gear Solid 5 has apparently been leaked. We don't know how bad the leak is and how many spoilers there are to it, but it has been confirmed by people in the know who would know if it's leaked or not. So if you're concerned about that, avoid any form of social media for like a week and a half until the game comes out. But past that, once again, thanks for joining us. We broadcast every Monday night at 8 p.m. Pacific Standard Time here at Twitch TV. You can also find us live at our YouTube channel. Just type in GamePoints one word PC if you want to watch any of the old previous episodes. If you're watching us for the first time today, feel free to participate in chat. We'll try to get to you when we can. For example, residents who I see in there, I can see you. Thanks for joining us. Appreciate it.
Ridiculous. Anyway, so I wanted to interrupt with that Metal Gear Solid thing. I'm pretty sure, even with the information being leaked for the plot, finding some of it is probably not going to make any sense because, you know, it's a Metal Gear Solid plot. Probably convoluted as shit.
I've played it since 1987, and I still don't know what the fuck is going on in that game.
So, I mean, it's probably not the worst thing ever.
No, I mean, for all we know, it could be a Kojima ploy.
True. Super secret plot.
Actually, his ploy is to like he's actually telling you the truth. That way, we don't believe him.
Well, there's still a lot of people who refuse to believe that David Hayter is not going to be in this one.
Yeah,
Yo.
he's not.
You're convinced he's going to show up sometime down the road?
No, I'm assuming that towards the end of that game, there's going to be the L'Enfant Terrible, like, whole thing, and it's going to have some kind of fast-forward silhouette, yada yada. Hey, look, it's Solid Snake.
Now, what
Like
would be
Hater Snake voicing.
Hater Snake.
what would be fantastic while we're on the Metal Gear Solid plot thing? Imagine if the end of Metal Gear Solid 5 is you setting up Outer Haven, getting the plans for Metal Gear, and you're hearing about how some punk ass is infiltrating your base to stop it.
Yep.
And it
I
ends with Snake invading at the beginning of the original Metal Gear.
Yeah.
I like the idea of Hater Snake, and he's just gonna go around hating on people. I wanna thank God for
Snake.
giving me so little and you all so much. Now, excuse me, if I have to put water in Liquid's mama's dish.
But yeah, if you're concerned about spoilers, given what I do, it's just a nature of the beast. Shit gets spoiled to me, and I'm not that uptight or worried about it, but I know a lot of people are. Just, in fact, just avoid social media in general if you're worried about spoilers of anything. It's just how
That's
it is.
just good news. Just stop going to social media. It's bad for you.
Indeed. Other good news, while we're on top of good news, is remember how last week we were talking about, or was it the week before? Within a couple weeks, Capcom was floating around the idea of remaking Resident Evil 2.
It's because they
Yes.
were listening to people.
Yeah,
they had
they
this
put us-
whole forum and
They listened to our show, actually.
Yeah, they listened to the show. They got the idea from us, so we're directly responsible for that. They put a post up on Facebook essentially asking, hey, what would you like to see in a Resident Evil 2 remake? Not a remastered, not like what they're doing with Resident Evil 0 later next year, but a full-on remake in the vein of the Resident Evil remake that was on GameCube. And
Which was great, by the way.
Yes, vast improvement. And they took a bunch of information from Facebook. People said what they wanted. It was essentially do it like you did the remake for the most part. 2D camera. Don't do Resident Evil 4 through 6 like you've done. Not that those are bad. 6 is bad. But not that those are bad.
That was
but
bad.
That's not what we want. We want old school classic Resident Evil. And apparently they took all that stuff to heart. And the guy known as H from Research in Division 1, his real name is Yoshiaki Hirabashi.
Yeah,
I
you nailed it.
apologize for butchering that.
that's why you call him H, bro, and just move on with your life.
Yeah, H. Pitched it to the powers that be at Capcom, and a couple days ago, posted a channel on their posted video on their YouTube page, which you're seeing right now. That is essentially, let me skip forward here a little bit. Him saying, "Hey, they greenlighted it.
It was been
They're doing
greenlit.
stuff. Yeah, it's been greenlit. So." This is a video saying, hey, we're working on it with the shirt that says, I do it, or we do it, or something. It's in horrible English, though I can't really knock him because I'm having a problem talking right now. But yeah, he's clearly excited to do it, and this will be interesting to see where this comes from.
I just want to drive a tank that kills zombies.
What?
Resident Evil, old school.
Yeah, I don't remember a tank killing zombies in the road school Resident Evil.
I'm talking about the control scheme of the original Resident Evil games and the fact that your character.
A little over the head for me. I apologize.
It's because you're short.
But yeah, essentially during that video, he talks about how he's looking forward to delivering this highly anticipated Resident Evil experience that fans have been waiting for. I'm excited. I don't know about
I'm
you
actually
guys.
stoked for this. Resident Evil 2 is by far my favorite Resident Evil game.
Agreed.
It's probably everyone's favorite. Nah, for me, I liked Remake and 0 more than 4. But I was
gonna say 4 is probably a big contender for a lot of people because 4 kind of brought it more mainstream.
4 is their version of 7, Final Fantasy 7,
and 2 is 6. Even though there was a few games in the middle.
I'm sure there were. So yeah, this is great news for all intents and purposes. However, there was a fan remake of Resident Evil 2 that was going on. If you haven't seen video of it, it was being done up in the Unreal Engine. A bunch of people were recreating the entirety of the game from top to bottom. That shut down, unfortunately. Capcom got a hold of them. It was very amicable, the decision to shut down. The team that was doing that, whose link I don't have posted anywhere, unfortunately, said, hey, we understand what's going on. They approached us very nice, said, hey, you guys have to stop it. But Capcom also went to this team and went, we want to invite you to Capcom HQ and give input on what we should do for this one.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
So they're definitely... Capcom's taken a lot of heat lately with the way they treated Inafune and how they've really only been doing remakes and remasters lately. They really haven't had a new game in a while. But this particular project seems like they're giving the fans what they want.
Yeah, and good on them. They're doing the opposite of a lot of companies right now.
I should also have the ticker up.
Capcom has been just refusing to listen to fans for a long time, and there's a bunch of stuff that they have done recently that's kind of pissed off some of their fans. So it's nice to see them actually realizing that, hey, shit's going bad. We kind of need to spin PR a little better. Let's bother to listen to people and make some games, unlike some other companies that we're mad at. Like
Konami. Hey, they're making a new Silent Hill.
No,
Resident Evil 1 through 4, all those games were money, including Code Veronica and 0.
Code Veronica is actually super good.
I thought there was
Code
going to be
Veronica
more of
is
a
money.
follow-up. I'm sorry. That's why I said.
No, dude.
No.
I played the shell that game on Dreamcast. VMU Heart Monitor.
Yeah, no, with that thing was stupid, by the way, that VMU thing. Horrible
VMU was
idea.
dope.
No,
Shut up.
It wasn't. That was them trying to cash in on the Pokemon Tachigama craze.
I'm sorry. How did you get extra gold in Skies of Arcadia?
I didn't. I played the game actually the way it was meant to be played.
Yeah, with a VMU.
On Dreamcast with the VMU?
Nope, on the GameCube.
Your brain is stupid.
David, you're a fan of Divinity Original Sin, right?
I'm a huge fan of Divinity Original Sin.
So
it is like the perfect D&D game, finally.
I bet this news is very exciting for you. Why don't you go ahead and break down what's happening?
Okay, so Divinity Original Sin came out as Kickstarted. It was actually a pretty big deal when that happened. They got a really good amount of funding. They listened to their community. It was a huge crowd input game, and it did outrageously well because it was phenomenal. They have announced Divinity Original Sin DOS, and this is pretty damn excited. So they released or are releasing an enhanced edition of the first one,
yes,
and they've been doing a lot of work on it for a while. But what they've talked about is the fact that all of the development and effort that's going into the enhanced edition isn't just time wasted on that, but it's actually going to be rolling forward into Original Sin 2, because the main thing is they built this whole system from the ground up. So there's a lot of tech and a lot of behind the scenes that they had to work on to get the game to work, at all in the first place. So now that they have a lot of the systems in play, they can kind of tweak everything and make it really clean and focus on just making this epic game.
In fact, if I recall, when the Enhanced Edition was originally announced, and it's apparently rewriting the ending even, too, but when this was originally announced, this was going to be given free to anyone who actually already bought Divinity Original Sin 1, correct?
Yep. It was an update on Steam.
Yes, and a lot of people were going, that's cool that you're doing this. I don't see any financial reasoning behind it, but that's awesome that you're doing it. Well, this is why they did it, because they're using the Enhanced Edition of Original Sin to hammer out any improvements they want for Divinity 2. In fact, in a post on Kickstarter from the guys who did this, from Sven Vinkel, or Vinky? Anyways, the guy from Larian Studios posted this forum post on Kickstarter, which is where, of course, the first one was backed very quickly and came out. this was announcing the second one, and he goes into those details about how, like, yeah, the reason why we did this is so we can work out stuff that we want put in Original Sin 2. As far as what's going to be in the sequel, we don't know yet. A quote from it says, quote, "We're saving the announcement of all the features for when Kickstarter campaign launches on August 26th, so I won't discuss those just yet." So in about 10, 11 days or so, we will definitely have some more idea of what's going on with that game when the Kickstarter officially launches.
My single favorite quote from this, excuse me, my single favorite quote from this whole article is he's talking about how, you know, the Original Sin is kind of their launching pad into this game. But for them, this is going to be like their biggest, most ambitious game. And they made the direct comparison to, we're basically doing what BioWare did back in the day. This is our Baldur's Gate 2.
Yeah, they did invoke the imagery of Baldur's Gate to it and came out and said that. Something else in that page, by the way, too, that I noticed, this is going to be, at least they're claiming, this is going to be a make it or break it game for them. If this game doesn't do well, they're done. At least they hinted at it in that story there, that article.
Well, because I think they with the success of the first one, they're going full bore. Like, they're just throwing all their resources at it, and they're going to try and make just the best possible game they can. And if it fails Kickstarter, then they're not doing well. Yeah, pretty much.
I need to play Divinity Original Sin 1. I had a choice between that and... what was the other one?
Made a mistake.
Hold on, it'll come to me.
It doesn't matter. You made a mistake.
Uncanny Valley.
No, not Uncanny Valley. It was another RPG that was like that.
Was it like...
It has an expansion coming out called The White March. Oh, Pillars of Eternity. Pillars of Eternity.
Oh, PoE.
That game's free to play.
No. Pillars of Eternity?
Oh, no, I'm thinking Path of Exile.
Oh, yeah,
I'm just thinking the acronym
PoE. Exile or something like that. But yeah, Pillars of Eternity was another game that was done up like Divinity Original Sin.
You need to just stop. Let's just stop the podcast, download Divinity, and start playing that game because it's far superior.
Because Pillars of Eternity, while fun, was just like the plot was boring as hell to me. The game itself was competent. I just couldn't get into it, so I feel like I made a bad choice in my time there. But with any luck,
died on accident in the first city in Divinity because I decided to dig up a grave, and there was a bomb skeleton in there that murdered me.
A bomb skeleton.
It happened. Yeah. I was there watching it live.
Yeah, he was actually watching, because I was playing it on the TV, and the gravestone more or less said this guy was really into explosives and pyrotechnics, and it happened to be an animated skeleton that had a bomb on his back that immediately killed me. Game over.
That's hilarious.
Time to roll a new character.
Now, was it instant death, or could you have lived through it if you were high enough? Nope, it just murders you right then and there.
Melted.
Wow.
The best part is it killed me. It killed 3 villagers and a dog that happened to be in the area. Like, it was my entire screen. You're done. Get out of here.
I need to get all that game.
That game is so good.
Sean, a game
it really... Sorry, I'm just
go ahead
gushing about this. It really feels like a D&D campaign. I mean, if you actually got in there. Because when you get into the combat, it's not, I'm going to throw my guys at it and everything's going to work. You need to think about how you go into every fight. You have to plan your heals. You got to plan your maneuvers, when you're going to use your tank to start tanking. Like, technically, you can play with just one solo character, or you can recruit other people that you meet.
Now, while we're talking about this, I do have a question. Are there 2 protagonists to this? Am I getting that right? You create 2 characters out the gate, and they're like a male and female protagonist?
It's 2-player.
My only experience with the game was actually playing co-op. So for me, it was always 2-player.
I could have sworn I heard something about, like, people were upset about, like, the romance options in this game is only with you and the other person that you create or something like that.
Because you can create an extra person, so that's 2 people that talk to each other. But technically, there's a lone wolf trait you can take. Okay. And then you're just playing by yourself, and you have boosted stats, but you can't have followers.
Okay, so if you're not taking that, you can actually just make 2 characters, and then you find party members as you go on.
Yeah, pretty much.
Okay. I know very surprisingly little about it, despite me being a fan of those genres. Sean, something that you were a fan of and will never see the light of day is Silent Hills, right? I know we keep coming back to this, but...
Man, you're a dick.
We have to.
This is constantly being mean to this guy.
This is how I forget.
Attaboy.
What were we talking about again?
Silent Hills.
Divinity Original Sins 2?
So,
is that what we're talking about?
The 2 brains behind it were Hideo Kojima and Guillermo Del Toro. Now,
I like the fact that he changes the name every time you pronounce it.
Whatever. People know what he's talking about, and I think I
Guillermo
actually
Del
said it
Toro.
right. I think I said it right that time. Hideo Kojima, of course, will still be doing games afterwards, but Mr. Del Toro, not so much. He is done with video games, straight from his mouth. In an interview with Shack News, a website I never heard before until last week, Guillermo Del Toro has once again voiced his concerns with the video games industry, saying, quote, "If I join another video game, World War III will start. I have proven to be the albatross of video games." Now, think about what this guy was originally going to do. He was working with THQ to do Insane or Unsane. Was it Insane or Unsane?
Insane?
Insane.
I think it was Insane, and then THQ blows up. Then Silent Hills blows up. He is convinced that he is cursed with this. Another quote from this interview says, quote, "I joined THQ, and THQ goes broke. I joined Kojima, and Kojima leaves Konami. I have decided that in order not to destroy anyone else's life, I have decided I will never get involved again in video games. Otherwise, I'll join someone and his house will explode or something." Which is just a money quote.
That's pretty good.
He's got a point.
It's shitty, though, because I know after the whole fallout with Konami, you know, those stupid fuckers, kind of giving the banhammer to Kojima, he talked about the fact that he's still interested in trying to work with him and pursue another project.
Yeah, I've seen that a couple times before, too,
but it's just he's been burned so many. Because I mean, he went through this exact same thing when the Insane happened. He said he wasn't going to try it again.
Yeah, and it's not like he called once and then he gets the word back, "Oh, we're not doing it." This man put a lot of time and effort into this shit just to have the rug pulled out of him twice now.
Well, keep in mind with Insane, it was like 2 or 3 years of work.
Yeah,
they had that game storyboarded, like pretty much good to go.
He could be on Pacific Rim 2 by now. He could have taken all that resource put into Hellboy 3.
Spoiler alert, he actually is currently working on Pacific Rim 2.
I mean, like, have that out right now
rather
than be working on it. Because that's a lot of wasted energy to have projects just shuttered on him. So I understand his rage at being dicked around.
It just sucks. I want to see him produce something.
As do I. That would be great.
So excited for everything that he could have been doing.
He does go later on in that article from Shack News about how him and Kojima are still friends. They still talk with each other, and that he's actually learned a lot from the game side of things. That he's gained a lot of knowledge from there, and he was very grateful for that. But once again, how many years do you think has been wasted?
He should make his own game company with blackjack and hookers.
But yeah, that's Mr. Del Toro is done with games, and who can blame him at this point?
Well, maybe what'll happen is instead of him and Kojima working together to make a game, him and Kojima will work together to make a movie. Because we all know that's Kojima's life goal.
I don't think I want to see a Kojima movie. That's the only problem. I just don't have 10 hours to spend at theater.
Dude, you played Metal Gear Solid 4.
Yeah, and I can pause that.
I'm going to go to IMAX for 10 hours and watch the Kojima-thon.
What would be longer, a Kojima movie or watching all the Lord of the Rings?
With or without the extras?
With extras.
Doesn't matter,
but
Kojima.
Not... Fair enough. But yeah, that's a shame to hear that. I was really looking forward to both those projects he was working on, and looks like we'll never, ever see anything even remotely close to him. Speaking of not seeing things in a long time,
let's just get more depressing.
Now, WarCraft 4 WarCraft 3 came out, what, 2000?
2002?
It's been a long time. It's been over at least 10 years. World of Warcraft took off, and that became their bread and butter for one. They haven't visited that universe yet since. But the time may be ready for it. And speaking with an interview with IGN, StarCraft II Legacy of the Void producer Tim Morton said, quote, "This isn't about the wrapping up StarCraft universe, I should say. Quote, "This isn't the end of StarCraft, but it's the end of the story for these characters. We don't have any specific plans, but I'll say that the universe has so much potential for more stories. Clearly other stories can be told." Which, okay, yeah, sure. That he's saying that StarCraft isn't done with. We'll come back to that again. But he went on to say, "It's very rewarding for us to hear that there's demand out there for more RTS content in the Warcraft universe. So once we're done with Void, which you're seeing right now, I think we'll get together as a team and talk about what would inspire us to work on next. There's no question, though, that we'll consider Warcraft, StarCraft, or even any new ideas. Anything is possible. So this is the man coming out and floating the idea of, hey, we don't really know what we're doing. We know that we want to do StarCraft again. We know there's a lot of people asking for another WarCraft or WarCraft 4, as it were, or whatever it could be. Or we could just kick up a new IP.
Well, to be fair, they are already working on Overwatch.
Yeah, that's
like, that is a known. That's not out yet.
In
so
fact,
it seems strange for them to just jump into another. Yeah, it'd be strange for them to jump into yet another new IP when it's Blizzard. They've had 3 IPs for how long?
Exactly. Not counting like Lost Vikings or Rock and Roll Racing.
Yeah, pretty much.
Rock and Roll Racing.
What would you guys see? Do you want more
Black
StarCraft?
Throne.
Do you want another WarCraft? Would you like something else?
Black Throne 2.
I just want to play Overwatch.
I am so lukewarm on Overwatch, it's not even funny. Resonance in chat is asking, have you seen the StarCraft 2 campaign? They haven't known what they're doing for a long time. I disagree with them. I love the StarCraft 2 campaign quite a bit. I like...
Dude, Heart of the Swarm was so terrible because it reverted it basically, the Wings of Liberty had no bearing on anything because of what happened in Heart of the Swarm. It was just like, okay, well, Kerrigan Zergian... Fuck the first one. That ending.
No, that's not necessarily true, because what Heart of the Storm did, this is where I get into nerd laurel chalk. What Heart of the Storm did was burn out Amon's influence in Kerrigan. So she is now truly independent from the dark influence that was Amon. So that's what Wings of Liberty did. And to me, Heart of the Storm makes it all up in those last 3 missions when you go to Core Hall and fuck up Mengsk hard. Because goddamn, those are some 3 great missions.
Yeah.
So I will have to disagree with you there, Resonance in chat. I really enjoyed Heart of the Swarm.
Still, I'm calling WarCraft 4. That's going to be the thing they're going to make. They're not going to make any other thing. I
think so too. They'll do a WarCraft game to lead up to eventually to whatever World of Warcraft 2 will be, or whatever that will be. This will be their lead into it. However, the one property we haven't talked about yet that Blizzard does is Diablo. And as much as we'd like to talk about all this, it seems like Diablo is probably going to be the next thing coming up. Is more Diablo here. Because on a job posting at battle.net or blizzard.us or whatever it is, I'll have a link bottom at the chat, they are looking for an art director for an unannounced project in the Diablo universe, right underneath, as you can see there. We don't know what the details is going to be. However, if you keep going down, you'll see a quote that says, "A passion for games with a deep understanding of the Diablo franchise." So this is clearly a new game for it. What the game is going to be, though, we have no idea. We don't know if it's going to be another expansion. We don't know if it's going to be Diablo 4. We don't know if it's going to be a free-to-play game.
Survival Horror.
We have no idea. I will say this, however, is that Diablo, the current iteration of Diablo right now, is actually doing very well for them. Never have I seen a game have such a comeback story before.
That's true. Yeah, because it was
a lot of people play the game.
It was really popular when it came out as far as sales, but then people got really mad at what Diablo was at the original launch.
Multiple sources at Blizzard have come out and said the real money auction house is one of the greatest mistakes that company has ever made in like its 30-year history. They realized that was horrible, and so they nuked it. They released Reaper of Souls, or whatever the Diablo expansion was called. They put in the Loot 2.0 system, and I have a lot more fun with it now than I ever did at launch. The game actually feels like Diablo 2 once again, which is probably the biggest compliment I can give it.
Yeah, a lot of people say that too.
So yeah, if you bought Diablo 3 at launch, go back to it, get into it again, and you will see a dramatic difference in the way it plays. They're still updating it. In fact, they have a new patch coming out that's going to introduce something that was like the Horridum Cube from the 2. Essentially, you throw items in and you get random item out. But yeah, no, Diablo 3 is going stronger than before, and I'm really looking forward to seeing what they might do. I'd be down for another expansion even. I really
want to go ahead and call out Resonance in chat and his quote that maybe they're retconning Deckard Cain dying in an engine cutscene to a butterfly.
Yeah.
Sure. Once again, I've got no problem with Deckard Cain dying either. I think that was... I think the way they handled him dying in Diablo 3 was kind of dumb. But I think him dying was the logical step in his plot line. But yeah, either of you two played Diablo 3 at all?
No.
I am aware of Diablo 3, but when that game came out and people were mad at it, I'm going to go back to that other PoE game I was talking about earlier, Path of Exile, was free. and at the time was the better game. So I played a shit ton of that, not Diablo.
Yeah, fair enough. Oh,
The game's still free, by the way.
You know, the reason why I was so confused with what President Sam was in chat is that he mentioned dying to a butterfly. I was thinking that he died and turned into a butterfly, so I kind of dismissed it. But the chick that killed him has like butterfly wings, so okay, I get what the reference is now. So yeah, okay, fair enough. What was her name? Magdra?
Butterfree.
Whatever the
Butterfree. For sure,
Butterfree's name was. She was a horrible villain. That was dumb. Anyways, enough Blizzard. We're moving on. We're tired of Blizzard. Now, we all own PlayStation 4s, correct?
Yes. David
Sure. Sure, let's pretend I do.
I could have sworn you owned a PS4.
Nope.
You should buy one, though, because guess what's coming out for it? They announced a Star Wars Darth Vader bundle. Wonderful.
No.
Wonderful.
More important than a bundle. It's a Darth Vader themed PS4.
In fact, here it is right here if you haven't seen it yet.
Look at
Vader.
that! Look at that sexy mug.
It looks good. I don't like the fact that it says Star Wars over and over in the background. That's the first time I actually noticed that. I wish it was just kind of solid black with Vader on there. And I kind of wish it was raised up a little bit higher and his chain was gold. But that's just me. But yeah, Vader imprinted all over it with Star Wars written in the background. The controller itself has the same Star Wars lettering written everywhere. Also done in the white, red, and black scheme as Vader himself. There's going to be 2 bundles. Both
One's
the
superior.
same console, even one of them. One will come with Star Wars Battlefront 4 and a handful of Star Wars games. I think it's like Pod Racing and Super Star Wars and Star Wars Bounty Hunter. The other one will be bundled with some Disney Infinity 3.0, which is kind of Disney's version of Skylanders. And it will have the Star Wars pack in there as well, Star Wars little pack of figures. I think we would all go with the Battlefront one. I don't think any of us are into the Skylanders craze ourselves.
No,
So-
not 5.
I ain't got no little kids.
Yeah. Here's the thing. It ain't little kids that's playing that fucking game, though. There's a bunch of grown-ass men and women who play Skylanders and Disney Infinity.
I'm not here to judge what other people do with their time. I'm just saying I'd be all up in that Battlefront.
Yeah, same here. Though
I'm here to judge.
PC for life in my case, as far as Battlefront goes. That's a PC day one game for me. That said, while we're talking about the Skylanders stuff, have you guys heard about this Lego Dimensions? Did we talk about that last week?
Lego Dimensions. We did not actually talk about it last
If you
week.
have, as an aside before we get into the next topic, all you need to know about Lego Dimensions is it's essentially fan fiction, the movie. Have you seen do you know anything about it at all?
Yeah.
Have you seen the list of IP they have attached to it?
It is completely and utterly ridiculous.
I don't know how they got the licensing fees for all this. However, so if you're not in the know, this is a...
Hold on. I can give you this because I'm better at Google than you, slightly. So it's a Lego game, but it's incorporating a lot of the things that they've released as Lego sets. So that includes Back to the Future, Doctor Who, The Simpsons, Portal, Ghostbusters, Jurassic World, Scooby-Doo, DC Comics, Lord of the Rings, Wizard of Oz,
Star Wars.
Yeah, it's ridiculous.
It
It's a
goes
huge
on and
list.
on and on. And the licensing fees are a nightmare, I would imagine, for them. I'm not too sure how it is. We do have someone called TP Poker in chat asking to ask a question. By all means, ask whatever you want. I'll try to get you at a convenient time. And while you get back to us before your question is, we'll move on to the next topic here, which is why you don't break what a company has in place. Now, I'm sure that you two, at least, maybe some of you who's watching, have heard various sites about how a Nintendo Treehouse employee was fired after he appeared on a local podcast. A lot of people were pissed off at Nintendo about it, saying this man has a family, or even going, yeah, he should be punished, but should you fire him?
Yeah.
Yeah, unfortunately. The man's name was Chris Pranger, and he was localization editor, also known as the Treehouse. That's like Nintendo's localization group. They call themselves the Treehouse. I don't really know why. Probably
Something about roots and branches.
I'm sure it is. But essentially, he showed up on something called the Part-Time Gamers Podcast on August 3rd, a couple weeks ago. And they were asking him questions, and he was giving very straight, honest, no bullshit answers. Like, hey, you know why you have to fight so hard to get Xenoblade over here? It's because it's not worth the time to bring it over here.
Yeah.
I mean,
It's not going to make enough money.
It's honest. You want to know why you're not getting your favorite games on here? Because when it comes down to it, sorry, too bad. Anyways, he was talking about all this behind-the-scenes stuff, and he was kind of, I don't want to say bashing Nintendo fans, but he wasn't too flattering with it either. It was a bit of a PR nightmare. So he was fired and confirmed it on his Twitter. Let me bring that up right here. Chris Pranger, as some of you may have heard, yes, I was fired yesterday. Yes, it was ultimately my own fault. No, I did not see this coming. Props on him for saying, hey, this is his fault. I don't know about not seeing it coming, because what did you expect when you go bashing your boss on a public podcast? But at the end, a lot of people were pissed off at Nintendo, like I said. But you know what? Name me one other company that would let their employee get away with this.
No
Well, because
one.
keep in mind that one of the main things you do when you join a company, especially a big publicly traded company, is you sign what's called a non-disclosure agreement. You know, that whole NDA thing. And there's a whole list of things that you're just not supposed to do. And in your contract that you sign when you become an employee, it's if I break NDA, I am fired. More or
Exactly.
less. I mean, that's how it is at where I work. It's not even that strange of a thing. If you start telling company secrets, even if it's not a big secret, I mean, if you ballpark what your boss makes and you tell it to the wrong person, then you can definitely get yourself in trouble.
I see a lot of people who I know who openly bash their companies while on Facebook and everything too, and I cringe every time I see that, because it's like, dude, if you get fired for posting shit about, let's say theoretically GameStop, for example, and you're a store manager for GameStop in my purely hypothetical example, and you get fucking fired because of it, I have no sympathy for you. Sorry, it's a fucking public forum, and you're bashing the company you work for on it.
Mm-hmm.
It sucks. I don't want to see the man lose his job, and he gave this heartfelt, hey, I don't know how I'm going to feed my kids and stuff, but sorry, you broke the rules of the company you work for.
Yeah, don't do that. Especially Nintendo with how mad they get at things. You know, how many times have they censored us? We're nobody.
Or no.
They're very quick with that. So, anyways, it sucks. I'm sorry, Chris Pranger. It's a shitty situation that is of your own making, and you seem to own up on that. My problem is with all the people calling for Nintendo to be beheaded for this option, and it's absolutely not their fault at all. In fact,
you know what
they
the
did
rough
what they
part is?
should've.
The rough part for this guy, though, is that he got fired for breaking NDA. And, oh, no, poor this guy. It's probably going to be a little tough for him to get a job back in the industry.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because he broke NDA of a major game company.
It sucks, but shit happens. Sorry. Before we move on to new releases here, because that does it for the news of the week, we do have someone in chat, the TP Poker. He did ask his question, and let me quote him out here. Quote, good evening. I would like to ask for some advice. I'm a college student on a budget, and I'm a hardcore gamer. I'm trying to balance buying all the newest games and cost of dating. How can I afford to take girls out and develop a relationship and buy games? I find it cheaper just to pay for ladies nightly, though I don't know I need to settle down. Any advice?
But I know. You're better
Build a PC, play Steam games. They're dirt cheap.
Yeah.
No, just find.
If you can't build a PC because you have a console, yeah, buy used games.
Find games or girls that like games. And
that's exactly what I was going to say.
Like, there's a lot of stuff that you can find, especially on consoles and things like the Xbox Arcade and PlayStation Store and stuff like that are simpler games that have a really easy access point that, you know, are fascinating, that get people like. I'm thinking of more of PS3, but back in the day of Journey, Flow, Flower, games like that, they're really good gateway games to get people to play. And if it's the kind of thing that you can put it on and keep someone entertained for an evening, then look at that. You just figured out what you're doing.
Yeah, I would also say find a girl that shares a lot of your same gaming interests. It's not like 15 years ago where it was like, oh, that's icky, that's what boys are, anything like that. There are a lot of girl gamers out there, a lot of women gamers. And you know what? Their idea of a great night in would be sitting down and playing through a couple rounds of Black Ops 2 with you.
Also, learn to cook.
Order McDonald's or something like that.
Just learn to cook. You just need rice. You need chicken. You need some seasoning, some vegetables.
Got a stew going.
Now he is saying. Now he says, "I don't want free games. I want the AAA titles." Okay, well, I mean, there is a push-pull here. For every $60 game you're buying, that's $60 just less you have to take out with someone. You have to manage a budget accordingly. That's why I say find someone who shares a lot of your same hobbies.
Exactly. Save the money.
Trade in all your old games. Trade in all your old games. Buy used games.
Yeah, that too. I mean, trading it, you don't need to hold on to stuff forever. The collector's market in video games dying.
Here's a big one. Stop pre-ordering. Don't buy collector's
Stop pre-ordering.
editions.
Don't pre-order. Don't do any of that. Consider dating dudes.
Yeah, and I would also I would also disagree with a lot of them being porkers, like chat's saying. I've found a lot of very lovely women who are into games. It's once again, last time I checked, and it was a study about 4 or 5 years ago, more than 65% of all households in America have a console of someone in there. Console gaming is mainstream today. It's not just all ugly people doing it. Sorry.
Mm-hmm.
Also, porkers need love, and they do the weird stuff. So
they do with the weird stuff, but gaming's a lot more popular. You may not think that super hot people are playing games, but they are. They're just not talking to you.
Yeah,
or
fair enough.
Not talking about it. It could be like their secret obsession, and you never know. Sometimes people play tons of retro games, or they have a weird like Pokemon addiction, just something. You never know.
Also, a record would be like they're screwing you. They're not screwing you. You're turning in the game knowing what you're going to get for it. That's not on them. That's on you.
Yeah.
Also, every company is like that, too.
Yeah, to address chat, don't trade in at GameStop. They give it 23% of the price they will charge. It's a racket. One, that number is not necessarily true. Sometimes it's higher, sometimes it's lower. But two, like Sean said, you know what you're getting when you go in there. If you don't like that price, take your business somewhere else. You have multiple options to sell your game these days. Amazon, eBay, Craigslist. Shit, I've bought stuff. I went, this is dumb. Took it back to GameStop. They're offering me half price. I go, screw that. I put it up on Amazon for $10 off the new price and sold it in less than an hour.
Yeah, do that.
I mean, you have this power in your hands. It's not the company's fault. It's what they're offering you. If you don't like their offer, go somewhere
People
else.
are lazy, so yeah.
But yeah, I hope that answers your question there, TP Poker. Just realize that a lot more people into gaming than you might think they are these days. And if the girl's right for you, she doesn't necessarily need to go out to dinner at a fancy place every weekend. She would be more than happy just to stay at home playing couch co-op with you. And that does it for GamePoints gives romantic advice. We're going to move on to new releases this week. We are starting to come out of the dry spell that was the summer when nothing gets released, coming out with this week. First, the biggest thing that I can think of is Tales from the Borderland Episode 4, Escape Plan Bravo. And that is going to be on almost everything. PlayStation 4, PlayStation 3, PC, iOS, etc., etc., etc. By far, the most entertaining of Telltale properties I have played yet, even more so, I think, than the first season of The Walking Dead, which was glorious on its own. I am really looking forward to this, and I can't get over how entertained I have been by this franchise so far.
Borderlands is awesome.
I don't know if either of you have been playing it.
No, I haven't played any of the Tales of Borderlands, but the way you've been hyping it up, I'll probably get into it. I don't think I'm going to be the guy that jumps all over it early. I'm going to do what I've done with every other Telltale game and wait for some bundle and buy it then.
Fair enough. Yeah, once the whole thing is out, you can buy the entire season bundle for like half off. That's just how they operate.
Because you can buy everything, and then I'm not sitting there waiting for episodic releases. I'm just going to have a whole game. And I understand that there's enough content that it's not... I mean, it's like a $20 game, right? So it's not like you're getting screwed over by buying it. But that's just how I'd rather do it.
Yeah, fair enough. Also coming out this week, Final Fantasy Type 0 HD on the PC. This has been out on multiple systems already. It's just coming out to Steam. I can care less about it, but I'd want to be thorough and mention it. You also have Shadowrun Hong Kong coming out on the PC, which looks fantastic. I've enjoyed Hairbrain Scheme's first two takes on it, being Shadowrun Returns and Shadowrun Dragonfall. If you like old school classic RPGs and you like the Shadowrun universe, you really can't go wrong with this one because it's done by the guys who did the actual pen and paper game. Following it up, we have Zombie on the PlayStation 4, PC, and Xbox One. You guys might remember a Wii U exclusive called Zombie U when that console first launched. Well, it's not exclusive anymore. That's what this is, with the gamepad functionality ripped out and an HD shine throw on it. I could really care less about this one as well. Old game is old. And
old game is old.
Old game is old. And then, out of nowhere, the man who makes Binding of Isaac and Super Meat Boy, Edmund McMillan, announced something just called Fingered.
So excited
bang,
for this.
Bang you into my life.
Just so excited for this. It's going to be great. I have no idea what it is. I'm down.
For what I saw on the really weird psychedelic trailer that they had, is that this is supposed to be some weird police procedural where you have to figure out who did it based on eyewitness reports. But the problem is that when people are giving you the eyewitness reports, they're doing it the way they would do it in real life, where like 8 people see the same thing happen, and one person will be like, yeah, it was a tall white guy, and then someone else will be like, it was like some short fat dude, and then a third person will be like, it was a robot that did it. Because we can't trust eyewitness reports, and apparently this game is all about that.
I'm just assuming that with the general humor of this guy's other games and the styling and pacing of it, that I'm going to dig it.
Fair enough.
Because I've yet to see a Edward McMillan game that I didn't play the shit out of. I mean, sure, there's been 2 of them, but I have hours and hours in each.
I've always enjoyed them, even if I can't do them. Like, I suck at Super Meat Boy, but I admire it for what it is. I admire its purity.
I haven't been able to 100% it. I've gotten pretty far, but
I can't even get far in it.
There's some shit that's just so tough.
TP Poker asked a second question, and that's the quick one. Marry, boff, or kill Rosie O'Donnell, Whoopi Goldberg, or Betty White? I would marry Betty White. I would kill Rosie O'Donnell. And I would do Whoopi Goldberg, but only because she was dating Ted Danson for a while.
Oh, well, you can also say because she was in Star Trek, right?
Yeah, I would totally fuck Whoopi Goldberg, marry with Betty White, and kill Rosie O'Donnell. And see, I would fuck Whoopi Goldberg because I feel like she's got the weird stuff going on, you know.
I would definitely bang Betty White. That's like the trophy fucking.
Well, if I'm marrying
it.
Betty White, I'm assuming that that's part of the deal. But Betty White would actually be awesome to hang out with as well.
True.
Have you seen that movie Hot in Cleveland, or that TV show? Because she is.
I could hang out with Whoopi Goldberg. She was in Star Trek. I like Jumpin' Jack Flash. It's fine.
That's such a great movie. I haven't thought of Jumpin' Jack Flash in ages.
Hey, you're welcome. What do you think I was going to say? Fucking Sister Act 2? Go fuck yourself.
All right. That does it for new releases. We're going to move on to some esports stuff, mainly League of Legends. Sean, why don't you go ahead and break down for us what's been going on? We had some roster changes. Let's start, as always, with the North American LCS.
Yeah, no roster changes, but group stages. NALCS is in their playoffs. They're on the second round that just happened this week. TSM beat Gravity Gaming 3-1, which I was pretty sure was going to happen. TSM really steps up in the BO5 series, at least domestically. Dyrus finally learned how to carry a game. It only took him 3 years. So that's why I'm taking all that serious. Dyrus finally learned how to actually play the game properly. CLG beat TIP, Team Impulse, 3-0. This is the first final CLG is going to go to since LCS started. They finally actually won a playoff game that matters. They're kind of like the Dallas Cowboys. It took them 20 years to win one playoff game. So, and no one really likes them. And the people who do are just really annoying.
Now, before we go on, while we're on this topic of Cowboy fans, who's worse, them or Raider fans?
I'll go Cowboy fans because they have a sense of entitlement that they don't deserve.
Okay.
Raiders just hate on everyone, which is kind of their persona anyway.
They know where they are, and they're not happy with it, but they know what they're doing.
A has-been is far more annoying than a never was.
Correct.
Okay.
Glory days.
Yeah. So the finals will be TSM versus CLG, which is kind of like the North American Classic back from like Season 2 and Season 1.
It really is. That match has happened a lot of times.
It used to be the two rival teams in North America until CLG kind of fell off. So it's going to be nice to see them kind of play each other, and it's cool to see CLG in the finals again and see what they can do. Their team actually definitely does look better than it has since LCS started. I'm shocked. I'm not going to say shocked. I am a little shocked that Team Liquid did not beat TSM. I thought they were going to handle them pretty well. But oh well. We'll see TSM and CLG next weekend in the finals.
Really
I'm hoping CLG wins. I'm hoping CLG wins, but I'm pretty sure TSM is going to win because that's what always happens.
It's
an
like
EU LCS
time at the end of Glory, they'll win going up that hill. But no, they always get gunned down.
Now we're going to jump over and talk about the boys.
Yeah, so EU LCS, Fnatic, Dumpster, Unicorns of Love, 3-0.
Thank God.
They gave them the old Jerome, just threw them in a dumpster. So, Unicorns of Love out, they got 3-0'd.
You know what's funny is I wouldn't even hate that team if they weren't called that.
Can't cheese that team. Ain't gonna happen.
Nope. Ain't gonna happen. Hooney's too good.
While,
Also,
while on
Is
that
that
topic,
24-0 now for the season?
Yes.
while on that topic, did the Unicorns of Love do anything really weird while playing against Fnatic?
Oh yeah, they played actually normal.
Well, see, that's the problem right there.
So they actually played pretty well in the early game in every game, which was kind of shocking to me.
It's like when you go play
really
chess
big
against
cheese.
Bobby Fischer, you don't open up with the king's pawn up to square 3. You fucking just flip the board upside down and start playing checkers.
Yeah, and start yelling Uden. Origin beats H2K on the other side of the bracket. H2K was the team I want to go to finals because I like their play. They're the team that's not really great mechanically, but play with like really superb strategy. Probably the best coach team in Europe right now, and I kind of want them to see like this really great coaching style versus Fnatic, where it's a whole bunch of mechanically skilled players who play well together. But either way, if Fnatic's going 3-0, the team that made it to finals, if it was Origin or HGK, but it happens to be Origin. Origin being the team that was created by Xpeke, a senior veteran in the mid lane. Him and Soaz in the top lane have been in the series forever. They actually were in the Season 1 championship and won it. So they've been around forever. So it's kind of cool to see that old guard play against the Fnatic team. And it happens to be Xpeke and Soaz's former team. So there's a storyline there that might get interesting. I'm pretty sure Fnatic's going 3-0 that series and actually go 27-0 in the split. I think that'd be really cool to see, so I actually want that to happen. Fnatic's probably my favorite Western team, and they're the only Western team that has a chance of even competing against the Chinese or South Korean teams.
I wanted to see them just go the distance.
You go for speed?
Yeah. She's all alone.
And their time of need.
LCK does a gauntlet style tournament. I've explained this before, where 5 and 6 play each other. Winner of that plays the 4th seed. Winner of that plays the 3rd seed. Winner of that plays the 2nd seed. Blah blah blah. So they started this weekend. Q Tigers played against Najin in the 5 versus 6 seed gauntlet tournament, or 5 versus 4 seed, excuse me, gauntlet tournament. Q Tigers beat Najin 2-1 in a best of 3 series. I believe the rest of them are going to be best of 5s.
Okay.
Don't quote me on that yet, but the first one was best of 3s. Q Tigers beat them
a bit of
2-1.
A bit of bookkeeping. Q and Najin, were these 5th and 6th seed, or were they?
Yes.
Okay. So this is the start of the
4th
gauntlet.
and 5th seed. Yeah, 4th and 5th. Yeah. So Q Tigers beat Najin. They move on to play CJ Entis. And this is going to be this is kind of a cool battle because Q Tigers is a lot of the old players from the original Najin series. So 1, they beat their former team, and 2, like the old Najin team and the old CJ team were the biggest rivals in Korea for a really long time. So now you have all the old Najin players playing against the CJ players who are still around on CJ. So it's kind of like Season 2, early Season 3 again, watching these vet players play each other again. I'm hoping for CJ to win. I can't really tell, though, because CJ is so hit or miss. If they're on their game, you can't beat them in team fights. You have to like do a 1-3-1 comp against them. And I don't think Q can do that because Prey's positioning, their AD carry, hasn't been on point lately. But they were the team that created the Juggernaut comp, which relies on their AD carry, but I don't know if they can team fight that well to use that comp against CJ. So we'll have to see how they actually perform there. The winner of that will play KT in the semi round.
This whole bracket thing is so ridiculous.
Who
wins this?
Style, but yeah.
Who wins this goes to KT, right? Then who wins that goes to SK.
Yes.
And it's like that's crazy.
It's because they play so many regular season games that the only way to justify them playing that many games is give the first seed basically an automatic second place victory.
Yeah.
Now, the one that's most convoluted is LPL, which I'm getting into. They had 8 teams. 4 of them were in a bracket stage. The top 2 from the 4 of them were in a gauntlet stage. The last 2 remaining moved on to a bracket stage. And so LGD and Vitsy Gaming came out of the gauntlets. Vitsy Gaming played against QG and lost 3-0. QG moving on to the finals. This is QG's first split, so it's really cool to see them play. They have a lot of Korean players that didn't really cut it in Korea, kind of retired and came back and formed a Chinese team. And Swift, their jungler, used to play on CJ Frost 2 seasons ago. Really great player. I'm glad to see him actually on his game again. You can't give this guy Nidalee. He's too good on Nidalee. That has to be banned out against him. LGD I think, the best team in the world. They just played against EDG, who won China last season with like Deft and Pawn. They actually beat SKT in the MSI tournament. They 3-0'd them and moved on to the finals to play against QG. LGD, if you don't know, has Imp, who was the Samsung White AD carry last year. Acorn, who was the Samsung Blue top laner from last year. They have Flame on the bench, which Flame is considered one of the best top laners in the world of all time. He's from Korea. So those are the two Korean imports. And then their mid laner, Godv, really talented player. And PYL, their support, is probably the best support in the world outside of Mata. So that team's stacked, and I'm pretty sure they're going 3-0 QG. They've automatically qualified for Worlds, by the way. So there's a few teams that automatically qualified. LGG out of China is automatically second seed or better. SKT from Korea is automatically second seed or better. Fnatic is second seed or better in Europe. North America undecided still. AHQ and Flash Wolves have automatically qualified from Southeast Asia. And I believe that's it. So the teams are already starting to stack up for World slots. I believe there's only 12 more slots left. So it'll be kind of shaping out over the next few weeks.
All right. So, excuse me. Any one of those games that we're talking about of the 4 leagues that you would say was the must-watch?
Oh, well, LGG versus QG, because it's the actual finals of a good region. So I really watched that. QG reminds me of a younger version of LDG. Now, I think QG's bot lane is going to. I think LGG is really good at lane swap, and I think they're going to actually kind of want to stay in a normal lane because Imp and PYL, I believe, will just dumpster QG's bot lane. The real matchup is going to be in the jungle because LDG's jungler, TBQ, probably the worst jungler in China when it comes to the top tier teams, and QG has one of the best junglers in China in Swift. So it's really going to. I think that matchup is really what's going to see who wins the series, the Swift versus TBQ matchup, because TBQ is known just as a mid-tier jungler. He's not good at all. He's the weak link of LGD. So they're going to have to abuse him to win that game.
Okay. All right. Thanks for catching us up on that, Sean. Always appreciated. That, for the most part, wraps up for esports news, unless you guys want to add anything extra in.
Games to watch?
Yeah, no, Resonance is probably. I believe Resonance is right actually because I didn't look at the leaderboard yesterday after the games yesterday. I think TSM is second seed or better too in North America.
All right, David, anything you want to add before we wrap things up?
Actually, as far as news, I don't have anything, but I do have a message, not even for anybody but you.
All right,
go play Divinity, you son of a bitch.
I need to. I have a lot on my plate right now with business vacations coming up in a couple weeks and things I'm going to be seeing, which hopefully I will actually have some very cool news to bring back for you, not next week, but the week after. Yeah, it's on the list. Unfortunately, too, we're also getting back into an actual game season with Shadowrun coming out this week, and then next week you have... something. The point is, you actually have
doesn't matter because the week after that is Metal Gear.
Yeah, it's all gone straight to hell. Sean, anything else you want to add before we wrap up today?
That's about it.
All right. Well, this has been GamePoints. Thanks for watching us. If you're watching us live at twitch.tv/GamePoints, where we gather every 8 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. As always, feel free to join in chat if you ask questions. We try to get to you. If you have any topics, questions, concerns, or anything like that, just throw them out and we'll answer them when we can in a timely manner. If you want to email the show, you can email us at GamePointsPC@gmail.com. You can follow us at Twitter at GamePointsPC. And give us a like over at Facebook at GamePoints Podcast. You can check us out and all of our previous episodes on YouTube. Just type in GamePoints, one word, PC, and we pop right up there, and you can watch all 30-ish episodes, as well as our sister series GamePoints Presents, which is me failing horribly at games. You can follow us individually. I'm your host, Stephen Brown. You can follow me at CapitalistPig21. You can follow esports commentator Sean Brown over there at @thedisco_king. He also occasionally streams, so if you want to follow him on Twitter, he'll pop up over there. Across from him is David Smith. You can follow him at Palshai Satori. He really doesn't tweet too much except to harass me occasionally, but that's about the extent of it. Once again, I'd like to thank everyone for showing up. Chat was very active today, which I always like to see. This has been GamePoints, and we are out of here.